back today to talk about planning mixed media. So planning mixed media, the reason I'm bringing this up is because a lot of folks are like, how the fuck do you plan these things? And the answer is I do not in the slightest. That's it, guys. So there's a number of things. So first and foremost, I am a type A and a half personality, an A minus, if you will, in the sense that like planning will be there'll be a sense of an idea, but I don't create like a super concrete idea. When you're planning a mixed media piece, it always starts with an initial idea. So same thing with when you're building an idea to begin with. If we want to talk about, let's go with this piece here, my early bird piece. I don't know if you can really see it, but it's quite large. It is 4 feet wide, 5 feet tall, and it is, honestly, it's one of my first mixed media pieces. I think it was my third mixed media piece. And the initial idea was actually not anything to do with this. And the reason I'm bringing this painting up is because I don't have a sketch of it. I didn't make a sketch of it. I didn't have this super firm idea of what I wanted it to be. What I had was this kind of experience in my life, kind of that like comparison that a lot of folks have with people their age, especially in their 20s, where I was like, I just graduated, I was working in retail, and I was just like, holy shit, I gotta get my life together. Little did I know I actually didn't really have to do that, because still don't have my life together, and I never will. And I'm gonna tell a quick story super quick just on that. I remember being in high school, and my friend's dad had said something like, I have to get my shit together, and I was like, no fucking way is this 50-year-old man still getting his shit together. And then it dawned on me, oh my god, we all feel that way, so why the fuck are we worried about it? We'll carry on. So it was at this point in my life where I was like really on this comparison train. I was like, okay, I like need to work harder, I need to subscribe to hustle culture, get up, grind, go to bed, do it all over again. And I'm guilty of this, like in a lot of ways, and like I was feeling that way on one side of the coin, and on the other side of the coin I was really struggling with caring about that, because I find it really, really hard to give even the slightest amount of shit about capitalism or hustle culture, or just like doing these sorts of things. However, I'm broke, and this is what happened. So this was born out of the idea, kind of challenging the idiom of the early bird gets the worm. So I knew that one was something that I'd always thought about, and I am an early riser. I just like really, really have a hard time believing fully in, like, subscribing fully to it. And the reason being is because on one hand, like I said, I was really like, I need to do all these things, I need to do everything in my power to get out of the situation that I'm in. I need to do everything in my power to work as hard as possible, to do all these things, and then maybe I'll feel better about this kind of like comparison aspect. And then a part of me was like, at what point am I spending my life that way? And at what point am I even comparing the life that I'm actually living to this? Because if I am working my ass off, I am doing these things, I'm not doing anything that I actually enjoy. I'm not living a fruitful or fulfilling life. I'm working myself. And there's a certain, like, obviously everyone has to work. I have to work. It's not something that I can avoid as much as I would love to. But I will do everything in my power to really, really claim the moments of my life that that's not the case. And so this came from that. And now this is a really, really long spiel to just say, that's all I had. I had this idea that, like, fuck the early bird. He's gonna die after working super, super hard, and he got all his worms, and who gives a shit? He had no friends. He had no joy. He didn't get to chill. He didn't get to engage in hobbies. So I wrote a poem. And the poem is written across the piece. That's what all the little da-da-das are. Those are all single words from the poem, and that's all I had. So I started with the idea, and then after that I wanted the color schemes. The color scheme, I actually just really was inspired by like Halloween-y, and this is funny, this was painted I think in March of last year, and so March of 2024, and not anywhere close to Halloween. But my thought originally was like, how can I make this seem eerie and undesirable while also being vibrant and not being orange and black? So thanks to Daphne from Scooby-Doo, because we have green and purple, and it was perfect for what I wanted. So that's all I had. I had this initial idea that I wanted this vision of a poem across the page and purple and green and birds. That's it. So I started with that, and then I started to think about depth and texture. This was my third mixed media piece, so I'd already been kind of accustomed to like realizing that I can't just like slap medium on a canvas. You have to have an awareness of how far things are coming off the canvas. So for example, we have this giant lamp shade. It's actually half a lamp shade that I literally sawed it in half and sewed the fabric on. So that was the furthest thing from the canvas. That's going to be the closest to the audience. Now I needed something to bridge between that and the canvas, and what that was these little pots. But the texture came second, and that's the most important rule, is that you're going to plan your depth and then your texture. So I knew that I have something far, I need something on the foreground, I need something on the midground, I need something in the background, and the background is the canvas. So that's important. Okay, also I want to go back to talk about color for a second. When we're talking about color, that's all you really kind of need to start with. So for example, if we look at my give and take painting again, I was trying to find the sketch that I had for this piece, and I have a sticky note somewhere that is like the closest sketch idea, and even that is like not worth showing, to be honest with you. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so for my give and take, this was my sketch, and I drew this at my retail job. I don't know which way is right side up. Can you see that? Yeah. Okay, whatever. So that's what I had. I had an idea that I wanted two canvases. I had this kind of thing. I knew I wanted some stringies in between the two. And I knew the color scheme because I was like absolutely insanely obsessed with Lost in the Night, Palace's EP, and which is fantastic. You should listen to it. And it had this like very like ethereal kind of like, it has a lot of depth to the feeling of it. And so I was like, I really loved the cover. It's a painting of a man, the blue background, and he's wearing a yellow shirt, so that I knew that was the color scheme I wanted to go with. This is the sketch that I did after I had done the two panels, just painted the background. I don't even know if I want to show you this. So, as you can see, it's super realistic, and this is exactly how it turned out. The point is, that's all I had, and I went from there with the piece. If that's what works for you, that works for you. I still was able to create a composition that made sense. I was still able to create a composition that I was proud of and that I really like. It's one of my favorites, and I didn't really have a plan. I had this kind of vague vision that came about throughout, and when we go to that piece is really tricky because it has a lot of depth, and we have clay fingers coming out of the canvas like this. We have an old Halloween decoration, like a skeleton hand, just bone hand, that is glued to the canvas as well, and that had to be like, that was all something that I kind of like, it was inspired action kind of throughout the process. So when I planned the piece, it was just this kind of sensation, then the color, and then everything else kind of came afterwards. When we're talking about depth and texture, it's a bigger conversation in mixed media than I think we give it credit for, because I had tried, for example, with this piece here, Allegory of a Life Well Lived, is the first mixed media piece I ever made, and I had tried to just do a clock, and it looked weird. And that clock, that little circle there is a clock, and nothing else was going to have any texture really, or not that I had had any prior planning of. And when I did it, I was like, looks pretty fucking weird. So then I had to, fix all of that and whatever. But so the point is, it's important to make sure that you have something on every level of the canvas so that it makes sense, that we have balance, harmony, and value, and all of these things are looking like a full composition rather than just like this random thing with this random thing and this random thing over there and whatever. So you're going to explore your depth and your texture that way. In the same vein, you're going to explore medium, so you're going to try different ways of doing things. For example, if you can see on my early bird pieces, we have these webs. They were meant to be like, when you look at it closely, there are these little pearls that are on it, but these are actually, what this is, believe it or not, is yarn that has been painted and varnished so that it's got a gloss on it, and then glued pearls on it, so that we have like these dewdrop kind of looking spider webs. I was like, how the fuck am I going to do what I want to do? And I was very, very lucky to at the time have gone to a museum where I saw someone having put, I think it was cardboard or some sort of like flat medium on top of a canvas and lacquered over it. And I was like, oh, that's fucking brilliant. So I tried something like that with that. And that was the first time I've ever done anything like that. Also the last. I would do it again. But the point is that like, it was really an experiment. And if it didn't work, it didn't work. And that like, out of luck. But it's important to explore, to try, to see how you can bring that vision to life. And then when you're thinking about mediums, you also really need to think about weight. Weight is like the number one thing that I'll talk about. You've probably seen me in the comments say it 100 times. Please consider weight. Please. We like to think of canvas, especially, these higher quality canvases we're spending a lot of money on, to be these really robust and durable things, and they are durable, but they're not that durable, and they're not exempt from the laws of gravity, and they're not exempt from being a textile, because at the end of the day, if I put something on there that is too heavy for the canvas, even if it's there today, even if it's just solid enough, but I can feel that it's dragging on the canvas, it will likely tear, or it will fall out. And then when it tears, it'll definitely fall out, and things will break, and now you have a hole in your canvas that is bigger than you thought. And I love holes in canvases, as we can see. When we're making pieces, we want them to last, and so we need to be considering our materials in the long run. That said, brings me to my final point. My final point is one that I will say until the day that I die, and it's don't be strict. I mean this in every facet of your life. Don't be strict. You don't have a fighting chance against the universe and its ability to humble you in your pursuit of control. So when you're doing these pieces, I'll show you. I have not one piece sketched out that looks exactly how it is. That's my eat your heart out. And the other thing too is that like I can plan the idea, right? I know that for this piece, for example, that I wanted to have the horse on a carousel, but if that didn't work, I would have done it differently. You can't control how materials work for you. If a fabric doesn't want to fold the way you want it to fold, you either find a way to make it fold the way you want it to fold, or you fold how it wants to fold, or you try a different textile that works the way you want it to. You do not want to limit yourself by adhering exclusively to a vision or idea that you had from the get-go. I saw a TikTok where someone said they thought it was from the get-go, and I think that's hilarious. Yeah, don't be strict. It won't work anyways. You don't have a fighting chance. You need to make sure that you are working with your art. Do not let the hesitation of a future idea or that this looming sense that this greater idea might come stop you from starting, because you'll get there. And all of my pieces start somewhere, and they do not end up where I think they're going to end up. This one especially, because there was nowhere that I thought it was going to end up. If you allow your idea to hold or to like take the reins, you are doing yourself a great disservice in every aspect of your life. If your vision is preventing you from jumping on opportunities, from exploring, from practicing new things, it is important that we engage with our work, and we engage with our world and our lives in a way that is a process of co-creating, and then a process of open-mindedness, and a process of open-heartedness, and knowing that things have the capacity to grow in a way that they want to grow, or in a way that makes sense to grow. And we don't have any say over 100% of that. We have a say over 30% of that, or 40, or whatever, but certainly not 100%. And when you're planning mixed media, this is especially true. You are not God. You do not invent or you cannot change the laws of gravity. You cannot change the way materials fold. You cannot change the way that movement or fluidity or all of these things are inherent to the weight or the texture or whatever of the materials you're using. So be open-minded. There are many, many things. When I did the cupcakes on this piece, I'll show a picture right here. When I did the cupcakes on that piece, I tried 4 different ways, and then I got there. And I knew, like, I had a pursuit of the vision, but I wasn't so set on the process that I sacrificed the vision, because that's the risk of being so attached to this process of, okay, this is how I'm going to do it, this is the material I'm using, this, whatever, and then it falls off, or it doesn't hold shape, or it doesn't look the way you want it to, and then you go, well, darn. And then you just don't finish the piece, or you give up on that idea entirely, or whatever. And sometimes, fuck it, get rid of the idea. If it's like, it's not going to work, it's not going to work. And other ways, you just, you take it, and you take it on the chin, and you move on. One of the examples that I have of really taking it on the chin is my last piece prior to this one here. It has a Ferris wheel on it, and the Ferris wheel was something that I really wanted to actually move. And I'm still working out the little baskets, because I want the baskets to move, and I'm going to do it. I have an idea, but if it doesn't work, I'll try another one. The point is that it's constructed with a Lazy Susan device, and that is very, very heavy. So it's screwed onto the frame, both frames, because it's a diptych, so it's attached to both, and it holds the two together. But that was not my first attempt. I had tried a wire basket, I had tried all these things, and I couldn't get the rotation to work, and I couldn't whatever. But I wanted a Ferris wheel. And if I had tried 100 things and it didn't work, I would have done something differently, but this is what worked. And it is not something that, like, you want to, anything is not something you want to give up on because you tried two things and it didn't work. You know, exhaust your options, and then we'll talk. So yeah, don't be strict. This whole process is going to come together the way it wants to, and you are kind of at the mercy of the materials and at your work, and the only way to learn from your work is to allow yourself to learn from your work. You don't get to, like, have a strong arm against it. Go with the flow, baby. That's all you can do. So yeah, don't be strict. Consider your weight, explore your mediums, consider your texture, but do so after considering your depth. And then prior to that, get your color scheme under control, and then let all of that be informed by that idea, because that idea is just such a small part of planning. And that's what I kind of want to say. The whole video is just to say that, like, when you're planning a piece, start with what you have. Start with this vague vision. You really do not need a full, like, this is going to be this, and this is going to be this, and this is this, and this, and this is. It probably won't look like that. And it'll be very disappointing for you to face that over and over and over again. So just don't. Save yourself the trouble and give yourself a plan that has the space for exploration and all of that fun stuff. I think that's all I have to say. And if this gets deleted, I will fucking lose my mind. Anyways. Bye. You happy boy? Oh, look at it. He's so happy. Or you fold how it wants to fold.